You are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Thursday, December 22nd, getting close to Christmas and the end of the NFL season. Great show today, loaded. We had a crazy week, 15.
Should have worn a Christmas sweater.
I mean, we should have went with a Christmas sweater for today.
That's okay.
But a crazy week 15 in the NFL. Everything is kind of just max excitement right now. No matter what game you watch, who it is, it has the potential. Like, for example, Chiefs and Texans. Did you think that was going to be as interesting as it turned out to be?
No, it was super competitive. That was a great game. And Saturday games were great, except for the Cleveland game, the Cleveland-Baltimore game.
Right.
Didn't watch a lick of it.
Right.
Didn't watch a lick of it, and I don't regret not watching any of it.
No.
It was an awful football game.
There were not many awful games, though. That was one of them. Today...
Sunday was even better. Sunday was crazy, though.
Yeah. A ton to talk about today. So Tim has a rant to start out on Dallas. And then we will finish out the first segment with hits and misses like we normally do. And then in the second segment, we have kind of a little fun thing to do here, an NFL Christmas gift. So we're going to take NFL teams and go over what they could use for Christmas to kind of help the organization, help the team, kind of give them a playoff spot, maybe help them turn it around from being a dumpster fire, whatever it may be. We're going to go
for
through.
example, we're not going to do Houston, but here's on their list. Suck next year, get Caleb Williams year after.
Yeah.
Right? Go out and get, I don't know, like that Will Anderson, that edge rusher, or go out and maybe get a tackle or something.
Yeah.
Build a fortress. Following year, go get Caleb Williams. So suck next year, get Caleb Williams.
Right.
We're not going to do that one, obviously, because I just gave you, the gift. But
we will pick NFL
that's
teams
just an example, right?
And gift them different things. And then to finish out the second segment, we will have news. And then in the third segment, just like we normally do, it will be full of predictions. So week 16 predictions. And then we will kind of have a little discussion, a little rant at the end. Just the need for a top-tier quarterback in the league it's higher than it's ever been, I think. I think the quarterback position is more value than we've ever seen it be.
100%.
So we'll have
the value increases like by the week.
Oh yeah, we will have a great discussion about that to finish out the show.
So like you just said, and we're going to talk more about it later. But the difference between great quarterbacks and like good average quarterbacks is the gap is increasing, and it's increasing by a lot, right? And so one game in particular, I could actually name a couple, but one game in particular that I thought showcased this better than any of them was that Dallas and Jacksonville game, right? So Dak Prescott is every bit of a B quarterback, and a lot of days is a B plus. I'll give you that, right? I think this week you saw the difference between a blossoming great one, right, an A plus talent in Trevor Lawrence, and a really, really above average quarterback in Dak, right? Like I said, a B, maybe B plus on a lot of days. Dallas has that game in the bag. It was 27-10 halfway through the third quarter. And then Dak throws a pick, 3 and out on the next drive, and next thing you know, it's a one-possession game. The Jags are rolling. Throwing his A. Jones. They were rolling. But when it matters most, Dak isn't that guy, right? So Dak is mostly fine. When it matters most, though, right, when things get a little tight, he's not that guy. Right? Go look at his pass rating on first and second down. I think on first it's like 98 or something like that. Second is like 112. I don't really care about those numbers as much. They're both good. That's all that matters. Third down, though. 72. 72. How about Trevor Lawrence? No, it's 95. No, I'm not even talking this game. I'm talking for the season. 95. Right, third downs. That's the winning down, right? That's when it matters most. Margins get tighter. Windows shrink. Defenses are pinning their ears back. You're getting pressure in your face. Can you figure it out? Can you make a playoff script? Dak's a fine quarterback. If your goal is exactly what the Cowboys have been for the last 25 years. Compete for the division. Win it 2 out of every 5 years, probably. Compete for a playoff game. Maybe win one at best. Dak can do that really, really well for the next 6 to 8 years. But now this begs the question, is that standard worth what? $50 million next year? Is it? Because at the end of the day, he needs a run game, an offensive line, and a great defense just to get to that level. right? So he's already going to handicap your salary cap, right? But you need all these pieces just to get him to that B level. Right, when Dak doesn't have all that, Dak's a C quarterback if he does not have a good running game, a good offensive line, and a good defense. Go look it up. I mean, I think I did this rant, a couple months ago at this point.
It had to be like 2 months ago.
A couple months ago at this point. If you go look at games where he was sacked 3 or more times, I mean, his passer rating's in the 70s. He's got like a 2-to-1 interception to touchdown ratio. Like, not in the good, like a touchdown interception ratio is like a half. Right, it's not good. It's not good. He's averaging like 180 yards a game when he's sacked more than 3 times. Right, so you need all this stuff around him, yet you're going to pay him $50 million, right? Like I said, I think Dak is fine if he's making Jimmy G money. If he's making, and we always thought that Kirk Cousins' contract wasn't that great, but actually when you look at it, it's not as bad as it could be, right? It's not like Jared Goff with the Rams bad, right? Jared Goff's number has, as the cap's gone up, it's kind of stabilized and it's not too bad of a contract. Same thing with Kirk Cousins, right? It's not like a Carson Wentz bad deal. But to put all these pieces around, like, Micah still needs paid. Trayvon Diggs still needs paid. Right? Tony Pollard's not even paid yet, and he's your best running back. You're paying your second best running back more than you're paying your best running back. CeeDee Lamb's not even paid yet. Michael Gallup's not even paid yet. Dalton Schultz isn't even making big money. Right? So you have about 6 or 7 guys who are, I don't know if I would say Dalton Schultz and Michael Gallup are more valuable, but I would say CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, those 4 are all, do I say significantly? Let's go more valuable than Dak Prescott. But he's going to make more money. He's going to say the right things at the podium. That's fine. But there's a difference between good and great. There's a difference between Dak and Trevor. Go look at Trevor's last 6 games. 14 touchdowns, 1 pick. 1 pick. 1,680 yards. That's about 280 yards per game. 110 rating, 4-2 record. That's ridiculous. With, I don't want to say subpar talent. This is the NFL. Everybody's got talent. But let's not act like that's a top 12 roster. That's probably closer to 15, 16. Receivers are fine, not great. Running game's below average. Offensive line's fine, but they just lost his left tackle for the season. Defense is okay, mostly in the front 7. Back end's an absolute mess. Just give up 34 points to Dak, like I said. You know how I feel about Dak. Go look at Dak's last 6 games. Also 4-2 because the team is really, really good around him. But he's, again, 14 touchdowns, but how about 9 picks? How about an 88 passer rating? How about 230 yards per game, right? So you see the difference, right? And you're like, oh, it's 50 yards. No. It's the picks. It's the ability to move. I mean, there's a Trevor Lawrence throw from yesterday. Rolling out to his left, he's a righty, by the way, in case you don't watch football. He's a righty, which means if you roll out to your right, a lot easier to make a throw. Going to your left, you got to kind of throw across your body, right? Almost jumps in the air, throws across his body, seed, right through a Dallas player who's like hands up, right through his hands to a guy, converts, boom, field goal. Now we're talking overtime. We all know what happens from there. Dak throws a pick 6. Right, so Trevor Lawrence is becoming that guy. This is the part of the season that matters most, and he's showing out. Dak is shrinking and being carried by his team. Trevor Lawrence's team is shrinking, and he is carrying his team. Right, that's the difference. And it makes me happy to see, because I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. I think coming out, I was like, he's generational. Like, you get one of those every 5 or 6 years. There's 1 or 2 of them in the league at one time. Now, we're lucky right now. We got about 5 of them. But I think over the next 7, 8 years, you're looking at Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, and you also have Trevor Lawrence. So I think the league is better now that Trevor Lawrence actually has the right coach, is starting to make these strides in the right direction, and he's separating from his draft class. It's not even close. You saw Zach Wilson. You saw Trevor Lawrence. You make the decision. You see Dak, you see Trevor. That's what the league is. That's what the league is. It's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the thing with Dallas is this is the definition of cap hell, is it not? I mean, you're way overpaying at quarterback, and you know that you need things to help your quarterback succeed and win, but at the same time, you're overpaying it at running back with Zeke. There's just so many different places where this went wrong.
Offensive line's aging.
Yeah. So this should be a team that we should be giving a Christmas gift to coming up here in the second segment.
100%.
We'll have to see what that
I have an
is
idea.
when we get there. I have a few.
And here's
GM is just ding, ding, ding. That's the first one.
Here's their problem too. It's like they're too good to be bad and go get a good draft pick, but they're not good enough to really be considered a top 6 to 8 team where you're like, oh, they're going to win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
But so they're in this really weird middle ground where like Minnesota's been for the last 10 years.
Sure, but if you're that team, you have to play good when you're in that middle ground. You look at,
true.
Like you said, the Jags. The Jags do not have a great roster by any means, but I'd take Dallas's roster any day over the Jaguars.
100%. But here's the difference. Quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence and Dak. And you can already see, it's so early on in Trevor Lawrence's career, but he is much less limited than Dak is.
He's actually our first hit, so let's go hits and misses. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Trevor Lawrence is that guy, right? So I think I talked about this when he was coming out of college. I said he's a generational talent. Like you get one of those every 6 to 7 years, right? That's an Andrew Luck. That's a...
You've always said he was your favorite. You've always said he was your favorite.
100%. I liked him at Clemson. I like him in the NFL. And last year was a tough year for him, given, Urban Meyer, offensive line was really, really bad. Defense was even worse. No weapons.
Weren't great.
Right, and so now when he actually has a semblance of a coaching staff, a decent roster around him, look what he's able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a beast. He's what, like 6'6", 220, can move, rocket arm. I mean, he's got everything you're looking for in a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Everything. I think he can overcome almost anything.
He has every single physical attribute that you need in a quarterback, but he also has the mental side of it, which I think is a big part. He's been more developed than some NFL quarterbacks. I think when he was in college, you can argue.
Yeah, I think so.
He's just been he was plagued his first season by just complete incompetence.
I agree.
So now that they are finally starting to turn that around, and he's starting to get some pieces to throw to. He had a decent offensive line until they lost the left tackle, but
yeah, it's upsetting.
Either way,
hope it doesn't affect their season too much.
He's doing well, and it's good to see Trevor Lawrence doing well.
Right, you mentioned the whole mental side. That's what I find so fascinating about a guy like Joe Burrow is like he's not overwhelming physically. Right,
No.
he doesn't run a whole lot. His arm is good, probably not top 10 in the league like Joe Burrow. I mean,
and is that
good.
Is that not Brady's recipe though too?
It was.
Brady.
There's different ways to go about it, and now increasingly in the league, you need a Trevor Lawrence size, can move. But that's why it always fascinates me with Burrow. It's like he doesn't do anything like crazy. All he does is read defenses really well and get the ball out on time and accurate.
Well, then there's the flip side with the Mahomes that didn't know how to read a defense
until like year 2.
Yeah, so.
It's crazy. You got to be special at something, though, right? I think, again, Joe Burrow, on time, accurate. That's his special thing.
Mahomes makes things happen,
extending plays, arm angles, right? All that. Trevor Lawrence, big, can move, right? That same thing with Allen and Herbert.
Yeah.
So, miss number 1 here. So we said when Matt Ryan got to Indy, we said that they're certainly going to be capable with them. Right? They're probably a playoff team. They're going to most likely win the division.
We had them at first in the division.
Had them at first place, right? Jonathan Taylor. So they got the run game. Offensive line was finally healthy for the first time going into a season in a long time. They had the defense, good linebackers, good pass rush. They get Gilmore on the back end, and their defense still isn't that bad. Now, granted, they absolutely... they forgot how to play defense in the second half on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I did not expect Matt Ryan to be as bad.
It was not. Usually when a veteran quarterback comes to a team, you expect, especially when the new organization that they're coming to has like pieces that the old one did not.
Right.
And there were things in Indy that I liked. I liked the offensive line in Indy to finally give him protection. He never had that in Atlanta. He had a running game with Jonathan Taylor. He didn't really have that in Atlanta when 100%. He was there. Atlanta has one this year, funny enough. But when he was there, they never had that. So I expected him to do better. I expected him to kind of excel in Indianapolis, and it's just been the absolute adverse. It's not been pretty for Matt Ryan.
Hit number 2 here, Justin Herbert. That's about all I have to say. I mean, look, I'll be honest. He was not good for most of that game. I mean, he wasn't. He had 2 picks, no touchdowns.
But when he had to be, he was.
But as his coach said, Justin was at his best when greatness was required.
Yep.
And that throw to Mike Williams, that might have been one of the best throws I've ever seen. Like, truthfully. I mean, that was 40, 45 yards on a rope.
With no, planted base.
No planted base. On the run, 40 yards, no wobble, absolute perfect spiral on target, precise, where only his guy could catch it on a rope.
The perfect read for the perfect spot in the game.
On a rope.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the best throws I've ever seen. Justin Herbert is a unicorn, hit number 2. Miss number 2 here. I didn't, nor do I think anyone expected Mitch Trubisky to be any semblance of capable on Sunday, especially against a good pass rush. But he was actually really good, and he was really efficient. I think it was like 17 of 22, like 175 yards, ran for a touchdown. Kind of the game you would expect from Mitch.
Yep.
The high end of a Mitch Trubisky. I just didn't think I would get the high end of a Mitch. No, he's not a guy who's going to carry you to victory, but he can certainly manage a team to a nice win. I think he did just that on the road.
Well, what I said during our predictions, I took the Steelers. I kind of liked what I saw, at least against the Carolina team, right? I thought the Steelers had the defense to beat a Carolina, and they did.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Darnold was running for his life.
What I said, though, was it's going to depend on Mitch Trubisky, whether he can play some mistake-free football like he has for kind of like the first part of the season.
Yeah.
When he started, he was decent.
The first two, 3 games?
He was making the right reads. Outside of like those games with all the picks, like those 2 really bad ones he's had this year.
2 really bad games. Outside of that, hasn't been bad.
He's been kind of safe. I said the Steelers will win if he can limit turnovers, and that's what we saw. So I just like to pat myself on the back there. I haven't been able to a lot this season, so I got to take it where I can.
That's fair. We actually split on predictions this week, so we'll tie in there. I'm 9-5-1, 5-9-1.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. Hit number 3 here. Zach Wilson at home, minute 49 left, 3 timeouts against an awful defense. Couldn't get it done. Point blank. I know. We all want to complain about clock management. If you have to complain about clock management, you don't have the right guy. Period. Figure it out, Zach. Right? That's a home game. You've been inactive for 2-3 weeks. You got a lot of rest. You got a lot of game planning. You got a lot of time to figure this out. That's a game that you have to win. You just have to. Period. Point blank. Right? Like, Brandon Staley's not good with clock management either. Does anybody complain about it? No, because you have Herbert, so it doesn't matter. Right? It just doesn't matter when you have the right guy.
A quarterback and a leader should be able to take over a situation like that and kind of guide the team, right?
Right.
I mean, if you have the right guy at the helm, come on now.
Right. If you have the right guy at the helm, also, you trust him to make the right decisions and call timeouts on his own.
Sure, especially when you are, the second quarterback taken in your class. Like
number 2 overall. Right.
And you have no physical attribute that stands out to me whatsoever.
None.
So you better be good somewhere else,
None.
and that's not a good thing to see.
And so this is also a hit with Robert Saleh, too. I think he is the most overrated coach in the league. And everybody's hopping on him this year because, the Jets are good in their defense. I think he's downright awful. I think he might be a bottom 5 coach in the league. I would clean house. I'd get rid of him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd sell
bad.
high on him tomorrow. I threw out a scenario. I said, would you trade him for a second-round pick? I would trade him tomorrow for a second-round pick, mid-season, mid-playoff run. I think he's that bad.
Yeah, he's not good.
He boils my blood. I cannot stand him. I think he's an awful coach. I would trade him tomorrow. And the Jets are an awful franchise, so what's it matter if you do? Robert Saleh is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I would elevate the equipment staff, the head of the equipment staff, to the head coaching job before I let Robert Saleh stand on the sideline for another game.
Yeah, it was
You're
bad.
telling me 3 timeouts, you don't call a timeout till 19 seconds left in the game? You're an idiot.
I've watched high school coaches.
Stupid.
I've watched high school coaches coach better than that.
Oh my God, it boils my blood. I hate seeing bad football. Bad football boils my blood, and that's awful football. It's awful coaching. So, I overthought it. Dude, you underthought it.
It's the basics.
You underthought it.
It's the basics.
That's easy. Like, that's an easy...
Ask an 8-year-old
understand.
playing Madden if they would have called a timeout. They would have said, yeah.
It always blows my mind when this happens a lot, too, right? You saw this week, like the first game of the year, right, with Denver and Seattle, right? Was that Thursday Night Football?
One.
Or no, it was the first Monday night game. So it was the first Monday night game, first game of the year for Denver and Seattle. And you have Peyton Manning just timeout.
Yeah, on the Mancast.
Everybody on every couch in America is sitting like timeout. How do NFL coaches who have done this for 20 years and get paid to do this can't figure it out?
And that's Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson.
They can't figure it out.
That is ridiculous.
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Oh, and they were at home too. Were they not at home?
No. They were at Seattle.
Okay,
They were at Seattle. But still, I mean that shouldn't even matter. That's not even about noise. That's a really easy decision.
That
to make.
comes down to, can you look up and read that clock right there?
That's like, hey ref, you're 6 yards away. I'm gonna walk 9 steps and go like this. That's not even. It's a literal hand motion. You couldn't figure it out.
And everybody's looking at you. All you got to do is hit it. That's it.
All right, miss number 3 here. The bets were bad. I don't even want to talk about it. All right, we suck. Whatever. This isn't a betting show anyway. Okay, so I don't want to hear about it. This isn't a fantasy football show. This isn't a betting show. This is an opinion show on football. Sports, but mostly football.
And we make
and
predictions.
the bets just haven't been good. But hey, if we win out on bets, we could still finish above 500 on the year. We're 7-8. No, yeah, 7-8. So if we can win out, we're in business. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We're right there. It'll be fine.
We'll see what happens. But
I have faith. We'll pull it back.
Hopefully. But those hits and misses. Week 15
Just
of the
passed,
NFL
yeah.
just
That's
passed,
crazy.
going into week 16. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Yeah, guys, a lot of show news though. Go sign up for the newsletter. First one came out last week. And the second one just came out before this show on Wednesday morning. So make sure you go and you subscribe to that. That is at theissuesports.com. So just type that in, theissuesports.com, and scroll on that homepage. It's right there. It'll say sign up for newsletter. You punch the email in, hit sign up. It's that easy. Stay up to date with the show and all the latest news in the NFL. We will be back for the second segment to give out Christmas gifts to NFL teams.
Segment number 2 on a Thursday now, almost Christmas time. Merry Christmas to those out there, because this will be our last episode before Christmas. So
Right.
Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to the family. Appreciate you guys listening.
December 22nd.
Yeah, absolutely. December 22nd. It's flying by. NFL season's flying by. Week 15 has come and gone. We're going into week 16. And we figured for the holidays, let's play a little bit of Santa Claus. Let's go through the NFL, some of the NFL teams. I think we have like 6 here. And let's give them a Christmas gift. Like, what do they need? We're going to give them a gift under the tree, a bigger gift. And we'll give them a little stocking stuffer on the side. And see how we can help.
You gotta love
how we can help these teams.
Gotta love a good stocking stuffer.
You have to. You have to.
Sometimes it can make or break the day. Honestly, I just can't believe it's already. We're going to be predicting Week 16 in the third segment here, just to give the people a look ahead. Absolutely crazy. I feel like we were just starting off the season with our Week 1, getting into the swing of things. We're looking at the end now. It's getting tight, and there are some divisional races that are absolutely. I mean, they are some of the best in football,
or the worst yet still close, like the
NFC South,
where
that
nobody
is
has a
a
winning
dumpster
record.
fire.
Nobody has a winning record.
No, and
not one.
And Tampa's on top. At what? Did they lose? They lost 6-9. They're on top.
No, 6 is season 8, but they're still on top.
Oh, that's right.
That's
they are
insane.
6-8. Yeah,
that's insane. And Carolina's 5-9, 1 game back. I think Atlanta's 5-9, 1 game back.
you won't find that anywhere else.
Is New Orleans 5-9 too? I think so. That's just I can't. Could you imagine? It's very real that like a 10 loss team gets in from that division.
Yeah,
7-10.
That's
That's
slightly concerning.
awful. I hate bad football. I hate bad football.
And it's on the NFC side. I mean, what did we expect? We expected the AFC to be a lot more powerful. We've seen that so far.
Well, we're going to talk. We're going to talk a little bit about quarterbacks, and we'll talk like go look at the bracket and go look the quarterbacks in the AFC, and then go look at the NFC. Like the AFC is going to have Mahomes, Allen, Herbert. If Trevor Lawrence sneaks in, Trevor Lawrence is going to be in there.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be nuts.
It's going to be crazy. But let's get to this first. We're going to give NFL teams their Christmas gifts for the season.
Okay, let's start with Dallas. We talked about them a lot, so we'll keep it going. The big gift under the tree for Dallas, I think you got to go with Sean Payton. I think that's so. Like, let me paint the scene here for you. You lose in the first round, which would you rather lose in the first round and make a really good hire in Sean Payton, or would you rather go to the NFC Championship game? Obviously, probably lose because you're not that type of team to go to the Super Bowl, and talk yourself into Mike McCarthy, and now you're stuck with him for another couple of years.
I'd rather go to Sean Payton.
Exactly. So it might suck now, lose in the first round, fire McCarthy, get Sean Payton. Because I think he would take that job in a heartbeat. That's a big-time job.
And I never thought McCarthy was the guy for Dallas, though, either.
It doesn't feel right. That's a big brand. He's more of a hometown guy. He's with Pittsburgh guy.
He fit well in Green Bay when he was there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just kind of like that Midwesterner, and it was fine.
Sean Payton feels big, though.
He's the kind of guy and the type of caliber of a coach that you need for a big brand like a Dallas, especially when you are the biggest brand in football. You're America's team. You need that splash at coach.
I agree. And then for a stocking stuffer, right, socks and stuff like that, let's go with a restructured Dak contract. Now, I'm not saying we got to pay Dak $20 million, but instead of $50, can we talk him down to $38 a year? Can we talk him down to $38 a year and extend out some money?
Yeah. You'd have to. Even if you can talk him down to 40, that would be a win. If you can free up $10 million, look, this is gonna be something that plagues whoever comes in to coach this team if they do end up getting a Sean Payton.
It's the cap situation.
It's gonna be their cap situation and their money and their financials. You gotta get that straightened out and in order before you think you're gonna win anything in this league. You don't see the teams that mismanage their money and mismanage the cap ever have any sort of success in the late postseason to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, go look at Chicago.
Yeah, they're not gonna make a run soon.
No. All right, let's go with Pittsburgh. Under the tree, offensive line with your first pick. Whether that's Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson, I don't really care who it is. You got to go offensive line with your first pick. We can argue pass block or run block. I don't really care. Go get a good offensive lineman. If you're good, you can do both well enough. That's the weak spot, especially when you have a young quarterback. That's what you got to build on. I like the tight end. I like our weapons. Well, don't love our weapons, but I like them. And I don't think you go draft a first-round wide receiver with this. We have a good enough receiving core where that's not what you need in the first round.
And plus,
we can go get a third-round wide receiver who can step in and be the third guy on the team. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I like the tight end. I like Najee. So you got to go offensive line with your first pick. That's the big gift under the tree.
Right. And I think the Steelers draft skill positions really well in the late rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry about that all that much. You have to go get a road grader. Somebody that's going to be able to open up holes for Najee. Somebody that's going to be able to protect for longer than a second and a half so that we can get passes off and let our receivers' routes develop. I think our receivers are fine. They just have no time to get into their routes and make their second, third move if that's what they need.
Right. Stocking stuffer for the Steelers. I would go depth at DB.
Perfect.
Right. Like I think our top couple guys. Right. You got Minka, Sutton. They're not the problem. I think the problem is once you get to our second and our third DB, the second and third wide receivers are significantly better than them. That's where you're getting beat.
And especially on critical downs. So you look at third down.
Oh my God, our third downs are awful. You can't get off the field.
You have to play man on a third down, right? You can't give
most
them
of the time, depending on
give them that that little bit of
depending on the down and
room
distance
to make a catch.
Right.
So if you're playing man, our DBs in Pittsburgh are horrific on playing man and playing with the guy. Our linebackers are a little bit slow.
A little bit.
You need a little bit of help at DB. I think that would be a perfect stocking stuffer.
All right, Buffalo. I think the big gift under a tree is you got to get a new offensive coordinator, and I don't want to say this is a shot at Ken Dorsey. I don't think he's a fit. I think they've been thoroughly outcoached multiple times, especially on the offensive side of the football.
Let's not forget that game against Miami, the first one.
Yeah, when you have that many yards, but you can't cash in.
Yeah.
And I like Sean McDermott, and that's fine if you want to go defensive coach. You have to get a top-notch offensive coordinator. I don't think Ken Dorsey is that yet. Go look at Belichick in New England. He had McDaniels, right? Josh McDaniels, right? He was fine because you had a elite offensive coordinator. They don't have one in Buffalo. Josh Allen's still great. Look at his regression since they lost Brian Dable. He's throwing more interceptions. He's not quite as efficient.
Yeah.
He has to run a little bit more because
schemes just aren't the same.
It seems like there's no scheme, there's no offensive identity until the fourth quarter, and the identity is, hey, Josh, go win the game.
Yeah.
We saw how that worked with Russ in Seattle for 8 years, where they're just like, hey, we're going to run the ball, play good defense for the first 3 quarters. Oh crap, we're down 10. Hey, Russ, go save us.
Also, part of it I think is when you go from such an elite OC and
to just an average,
to kind of just like
Ken Dorsey's an average offensive coordinator.
I would take him way over Matt Canada.
100%.
Like the Steelers, 100%. If they hired him, I would not be mad at all.
No.
But in Buffalo, when you are trying to win like Buffalo is, and you have the elite pieces, you need an elite OC, coaching staff, everything around that needs to be perfect for your quarterback.
I agree. And the stocking stuffer that's going to help this hopeful new offensive coordinator would be a run game, an actual legitimate run game, not Josh Allen dependent run game, an actual 23 times a game we can hand the ball off and get 4.5 yards a carry, wear down defenses, and actually set up a real play action.
Right, because you need that. You need to take a lot of the pressure off of Josh. You're going to see injuries follow from this soon.
Yeah.
I don't want it to happen.
You can't keep up with this.
Statistically speaking, if you are relying on him to drop back 40-plus times a game, and at the same time be your leading rusher.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
That is not what you need.
Let's go Chicago. The Chicago Bears. They need, under the tree, big gift, star receiver. I think that's point number one. We see it. You got to go get a star receiver for your young quarterback. Diggs with Josh Allen, Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow, right? That is the recipe for success. You have to go get a star receiver. The stocking stuffer, if you can, I would go in the first round. I would go get like a Peter Skronsky, like a really good lineman.
Yeah.
Because you can't have Justin Fields running for his life, and you need to get him some weapons to throw to. I think Chase Claypool would be a nice 2. Darnell Mooney, a nice 3.
Yeah.
You got to go get a 1. I don't know whether that be via trade. If you can maybe trade up from the second round into the late first round, go get a guy there. This isn't a really good high-end receiver draft, but it's a really good draft for like the second and third round. There's a lot of guys that you can get good value there for. So I would go get a receiver and go get an offensive tackle.
Look, you can't deny that it's an offensive league now. The teams that are successful are the ones that are aggressive and they go out and they make those big deals. And you have to go find that guy. Justin Fields, I think, has a pretty high ceiling. We've seen him do things this year.
Yeah.
He's been able to move around really well, extend plays. He's been able to rush really well, too. So if he doesn't have to run for his life and he can kind of sit back in that pocket and have some receivers to throw to, that's a recipe for success for Chicago.
100%.
Now, you do have to clean up a little bit of the contract stuff, especially on the defensive end.
They're paying a lot of money over there.
But I think that's at least a step in the right direction. You got to get your offense together.
Let's go with the Rams. Under the tree, dude, you need draft picks. I mean, they mortgage their future, and you can recoup some picks in the offseason. I would move Jalen Ramsey. You could probably get a first. I would look at moving Bobby Wagner. You could probably get a second. You have to strongly consider moving a couple other pieces, whether that be Van Jefferson, whether that be maybe a different receiver, and go and get a second and a third. Get younger, cheaper talent, and recoup some of the draft picks because you're losing. You don't have any draft picks. You're paying a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's something you have to do. And I think on the back end with those picks, you got to go get wide receiver depth. We see now that Cooper Kupp's out, that passing attack is awful. It's not good. And I know Stafford's out too, but even when Stafford was in there, without Cooper Kupp, that's not the same offense. It's not even close to the same offense.
You just need some fresh faces in the room in LA,
Yeah,
I think.
100%.
You can't be stuck around the same, and you can't just constantly bring people back.
Yeah.
So
You need some turnover.
And you need to get that infusion of youth too, right? You have like a lot of aging stars.
Yeah.
You know, Matt Stafford, you got Aaron Donald who's getting up there.
Bobby
in age.
Wagner, Jalen.
Yeah. So you need youth.
Yeah, I agree. How about the Detroit Lions, our sixth and final team here? First thing they need under the tree, you got to get a DB. You got to get some DB. Jeff Okudah has been better in year 2 now, but you got to get secondary help. They're just getting torched over the top. And the only way they can really win is shootouts. Now, granted, their defense played pretty well this week against Zach Wilson, but they got torched for like 315 yards through the air, right, against a bad quarterback. And then secondly, I think you need a number 2 wide receiver. I think Amon-Ra is a really nice, solid 1. I think you need a number 2 receiver to add another layer to that offense.
A little bit of depth.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it perfectly last week. The biggest kind of problem with Detroit right now is their defense, right?
100%.
Their offense is fine, except obviously on the road the numbers take a little bit of a dip.
It's mostly
Their
a Jared
defense,
Goff
though,
problem.
is 32nd
They're bad.
in yards allowed.
They're bad.
And they are letting teams score touchdowns
At will.
all of the time.
It's bad. Yeah, it's bad.
So, yeah, we saw a little bit more of the break over bend for Detroit this last week. A DB would help, and then
They already kind of have a pass rush, so I think you need to get secondary help. Go get some depth at wide receiver, just to bolster the offense a little bit. But overall,
they're looking good.
That's our little Santa Claus game there. We're giving out gifts.
Yeah.
We should be consulting for NFL teams, honestly, at this point.
Start our own little NFL consulting firm. Just talk to GMs all day and tell them what they should do. I like it.
I think Indianapolis could use that.
Yeah, Indy would probably be the first one to be offering up for those services.
Well, actually, we're going to talk Indy here. Let's get into the news going into Week 16. So let's start with story number 1. I know we just played a little, Santa Claus action. Let's play GM here, right? So the Colts obviously blew a 33-point lead, the largest blown lead in NFL history. What in God's name do you do moving forward if you're the GM or in ownership in the front office for Indianapolis? What do you do?
You gotta blow it all up, right? You have to completely start over.
Couldn't agree more.
You have, I guess, some framework. You have some offensive line pieces to work with.
Some defensive pieces.
You have
Defense
some
isn't bad.
Yeah, you have some pass rushers. Here's the thing, though. You don't have anybody at skill positions that matter. You have probably the worst receiving core in the league. So
It's
you need to go
bottom
address.
five,
You need to go address. You need some sort of offensive firepower. Matt Ryan is obviously not the guy. If you can't see it by now, I don't know what you've been watching for the last 15 weeks.
Right.
So if I'm in Indianapolis today, just blow it all up. Who cares how you finish this year?
I agree.
Literally lose the rest of your games. Just get to the offseason and start making moves. Adjust contracts where you need. Free up money. get draft capital, and move forward. Just forget this year.
I agree. I would look to I'd look to move Jonathan Taylor. I think you'd get a first round pick for him.
You could, and you could get a lot for.
Go look at a team that's
I don't know what you could get for Matt Ryan at this point.
So you're telling me Buffalo wouldn't give up a first? If I'm Buffalo, I'd give up a first for Jonathan Taylor. You're in a win now situation, and Jonathan Taylor next year gives you a legitimate run game. I'd give up a first for Jonathan Taylor if I'm Buffalo.
Yeah,
I'd be on the phone with them tomorrow.
I would too, and it's something that Indianapolis needs to really consider.
I agree. All right, story number 2 here. Let's go. Jalen Hurts sprained shoulder, right shoulder, throwing shoulder, against the Bears. Which that's always my concern with the mobile quarterbacks is, can you stay healthy? Right, Justin Fields is even getting banged up, running around that much. Yeah. So Minshew mania is in line to get the start. Is it weird that I might still take the Eagles Sunday? Like I really like Gardner Minshew, and I don't think it's a quarterback dependent team. Now, granted, Hurts takes them to another level.
Yeah.
But I think they could defense and run game their way to a win. Am I crazy?
No, I completely agree. We talk about the types of teams that they don't rely on their quarterback completely. Sure, Jalen Hurts is a really, really good quarterback, and he's showed out this year.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I don't think that team lives and dies through Jalen Hurts. They
don't
have
think so either.
other ways of winning. Miles Sanders running the ball, that's a lock almost,
Yeah, and they have him, they have Gainwell, they have Boston Scott, they have a couple good backs. Yeah.
Right, and they're going to be able to hit you with fresh guys almost every other play. Wear down the defense, move the ball on the ground, and that's what
Good
they are. They're a
receivers.
run-first team anyway.
Yeah.
So
Good receivers, good defense.
they have enough.
That's an interesting game. So it's in Dallas. I don't know who I take there. We're going to do our predictions here in a little bit.
We'll get to that in the next segment. But
all right, story number 3 here. Patriots, they lose in one of the worst fashions I think I've ever seen. I mean, seriously. So, first of all, there's 4 seconds left when they snap the ball. At that point, I'm probably going to take a knee or I'm going to throw a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
One of the two. I don't like laterals. I don't like the idea that they're going to run a halfback draw and then he's going to lateral it. I think that's the stupidest play I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
You have Mac Jones. Let's just take a knee, go to overtime. You have a better coach. You have a better defense. I would go to overtime. I'd go to overtime. So
yes.
But they're going to instead get a halfback draw to Ramondre Stevens. He's going to pitch to Jacoby Myers. And then from there, I don't know if somebody possessed Jacoby Myers. I don't know if he had money on the -1.5 on Vegas. I don't know what happened. But he throws it right to Chandler Jones. And he runs it back. Right to him.
And it was the weirdest thing. He started sprinting the other way, stops, plants his feet, and just throws a dot right to him.
I've never seen anything like it. Can you actually take the Patriots seriously right now?
I can't. And the only reason that they have any credibility right now is their coach, is Bill Belichick. Because outside of that, tell me one position or one player on that team that you trust. I don't trust Mac Jones whatsoever. He's a decent quarterback. He's gotten the job done. But I don't trust him.
I don't either. Maybe Ramondre Stevenson, they're back. I like their back. That's about it.
And he's sporadic. He doesn't have great days all the time.
Yeah.
So.
All right, last story here. Let's switch over to the other football. Soccer. World Cup finished up. Messi scores 2 goals. Mbappe has a hat trick. But Argentina beats France. World Cup final in PKs. I think Messi has a good argument that he is the GOAT of all GOATs. He's got 7 MVP. Their version of an MVP. It's like the Ballon d'Or or something like that. I don't know. I'm probably butchering it. It's
the
European.
MVP.
Basically an MVP. We'll call it an MVP. He's got a World Cup. He's got a couple, other titles or whatever. Soccer confuses me.
Really
All I
does.
know is he is insane. He's insane. And that Mbappe is 22 years old, scores a hat trick in the World Cup final.
Yeah.
That's I don't want to say rookie because he's been around a little bit. He's 22, but he's been playing since he was 19. That'd be like if Burrow went to Super Bowl last year and put up 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. It'd be insane. That would be nuts. So either way, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about soccer, but all I know is it was a really good game to watch, and I don't even like soccer. I really don't. I think it's very, very boring.
Yeah, I love those 0-0 games. They get me going.
Oh, God. It's almost unwatchable, but I did watch the final almost the whole way through, and what was crazy was 2-0 Argentina all the way until 15 minutes left, and then France scores twice to tie it. And then it goes into overtime. They both score once because it's not sudden death, which I think is stupid, by the way. They both score once, and then it goes to PKs, which is That'd be like if the Stanley Cup went to a shootout in Game 7, like just everything riding on it.
Which I think sidebar. I think that would be cool. I don't know why they do away with. I don't know why they do away with the shootouts in the NHL in the playoffs.
That would be nuts. So either way, it was good entertainment.
I feel like that's the only part of a soccer game I'd be able to watch. Like the end, if it got to that point. I cannot sit. And then they start adding minutes to the clock. I don't know what's going on with the clock.
I don't understand the minutes getting added on.
I understand NFL clock, right? You look at it, it's first quarter.
And it's ticking down, not going up.
Yeah, it's like 4 minutes left in the first quarter, and that equals a buffalo chicken dip will be done in about 20-ish minutes. Right. You have your little soccer. I'm watching. It's like 20 minutes. And then I look back and it's like 38 minutes, but then now it's going to go up to like 97 minutes because of a penalty.
It doesn't make any sense to me either.
And then it doesn't stop either, even when they call timeouts.
It's weird. You could do you could delay the game a bunch if you wanted to if you're in the lead. I don't know. Confuses me. Either way, it was good television. And Messi's great. That's the takeaway from the World Cup. So good for them. Good for soccer. It was a good event. But yeah, that's it for the news. So next segment on the other side here, we'll have predictions like normal, week 16.
Yep.
And then we'll talk a little bit about quarterbacks, look at the playoff bracket, and talk about how good do you have to be at quarterback to actually be able to be taken seriously as a team here in the 2022 NFL landscape.
What's up? We are back. It is the third segment on Thursday, December 22nd. Great segment here. So we have all of our Week 16 predictions first. We're going to just kind of lead with that. And then we will get into a discussion to finish off the show on the need for a top quarterback and why they're so important and the value that is now behind that position. But overall, make sure you go and sign up for the Issue newsletter, theissuesports.com. Type in your email, click sign up. Make sure you're doing that. Keep up with everything here from the show. And then be on the lookout. We have products and all kinds of stuff coming your way, and it will be on the website here, hopefully in about a month. So
can't wait. Cannot wait.
Before any of that, though, we have to try to win a week of predictions here. I struggled this year. I finished 5-9. I'm 5-9-1 right now. I'd like to kind of close that a little bit, get some garbage time wins. So we're going to try to do that this week.
I got some risky picks this week, so I think this might be your week to do it. But
I need one. I need somebody that I need the cards to fall my way just once. Just once. One more time. That's it. That's all I'm asking for.
Well, I guess let's get into it. All right, go. The Jags at the Jets tonight. Thursday Night Football in New York. We're both going to take the Jags here. I think they have a more talented quarterback. I like their weapons a lot better. And I just don't. I don't like Saleh. I don't like Zach Wilson.
And it's hard to trust them after what we saw.
Very hard to trust them. Very, very tough against a really bad defense. They put up 17 points.
And you can't do that.
And completely butcher the last drive. That's something you can't do that. That's awful. That's awful. So I don't trust anyone in New York. I'll go Jags. Seattle at the Chiefs. We're both going to take the Chiefs here.
This is another.
They're just a better football team.
Yeah.
From top to bottom, coach, quarterback, lines. Everywhere.
And sure, Seattle's looked good this year, and they have exceeded expectations. For sure, no doubt about that.
Yeah, they have a bright future, but right now...
But they're not beating the Chiefs this week.
100%. Couldn't agree more. All right, first split here. Giants at the Vikings. You're going to take the Vikings. I get it. They're probably a little bit better of a team. I'll take the Giants. We're not going to do bets here. Go to our TikTok for bets on the budget, but if you're looking at the line, 3.5, plus 3.5, so you get the hook on your side if you're going to take the dog with the Giants. I'll take them to win outright in a really, really tough game. If you look at the games that are tough for Minnesota, it's the ones that are really good in the trenches, the tough, physical teams. And I think with the defensive line of the Giants, they're going to be able to muddy up this football game. Dalvin's not going to have a lot of running lanes. Kirk throwing the ball, he's going to have some pressure in his face. I'll take the Giants. Don't feel great about it because I think they're more pretender than contender. But I'll go Giants.
I just like the way the Vikings have been playing so far. And plus, I think after a really, really tough divisional game against the Commanders this last week, it is going to kind of take a toll on them at least a little bit. I don't think they're going to be at the same same level, or the level at least needed to beat a Minnesota Vikings team right now.
Right. And so on the flip side, I'll go because Minnesota, with that crazy 33-point comeback, could they take a step down? That's going to be an interesting game to watch.
Yeah.
All right, Falcons at the Ravens. We're both going to take the Ravens. Even with the injuries, I like their culture better. I like their coach better.
I just like the game
right
plan
now,
better,
right now, quarterback's a coin flip. Is it Desmond Ridder? Is it Marcus Mariota? Is it Tyler Huntley, Anthony Brown? Is Lamar back? Who knows? Doesn't really matter. I'll take the defense of Baltimore too. They're a better football team, top to bottom.
Yeah, they're more disciplined.
Yeah. All right, let's go with the Lions at the Panthers. We'll both take the Lions here. It is interesting. The Panthers at home as a dog have been pretty good this year, but I don't trust Sam Darnold. I don't trust that offense, and you got to trust what your eyes tell you. They're 6-1 on their last 7. Their offense is playing well. Their defense is improving, although it's not where it needs to be. The Lions, they feel like a playoff team to me, and it feels weird to say that. It feels weird to say the Lions feel like a playoff team, but they do.
They run the ball really well. They scheme really well so they can throw off of that run play action. With
Great play action, yeah.
Jared Goff has been playing fairly mistake-free football.
Yeah.
Doing what he needs to do. It's not like they're relying on him to carry that team. He kind of just fits in with everybody else, and they all play their role. But it seems to work, and I like them this week.
Yeah. Saints at the Browns. It's going to be a really, really cold, snowy game. For that reason, I'll take Cleveland. I don't trust the Saints, an indoor team going up to Cleveland to play in the snow and the wind and the cold. That sounds like a bad recipe for winning for the Saints, so I'll go with the Browns.
And for that reason, I'm out on the Saints as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Cuban, and for that reason, I am out now. All right, so with the Bengals at the Patriots, I'll take the Bengals. Now, again, it's going to be snowy, it's going to be cold, it's going to be miserable up in Foxborough. I don't think it really matters. I think even running the football, the Bengals are a really, really solid team. They have 2 backs they can hit you with. The defensive line is really, really good as well. They lose Trey Hendrickson, but they still can get a pass rush. They still have some run stuffers. I'll take the Bengals over the Patriots.
See, when I was thinking about this one, I was thinking, okay, Bill Belichick might be able to scheme to take Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase out of the game a little bit. So it's really going to come down to who can run the ball better, and plus just the conditions in a Foxborough. Yeah. You need to be able to run the ball. And Joe Mixon has just been
he's been good.
Absolute tank this
Same
year.
with Pirine too. I mean, as like the second back, he's been good too.
Right.
All right, let's go with the Bills at the Bears. Probably going to be cold and snowy like most of these games this weekend. I'll take the Bills. They're a better team.
Bills.
It's an interesting +9 on the line because if it's snowy and the game's kind of muddied up a little bit, it's an interesting underdog for the Bears. But I think if we're just picking winners here, I'll go Bills.
Yeah, we're going money line. It's going to be Bills.
100%.
And let's not forget how used the
Bills are used.
The weather isn't going to
shouldn't matter for either of the teams because they're both used to it.
Yeah.
Texans at the Titans. It's actually going to be really, really cold in Nashville. So not that I think it matters too much, but I'll go with the Titans.
Yeah, I like the Titans too.
Let's go 49ers at Commanders. I like the Niners. Better football team at home.
They play 2 very similar kind of like physical styles of football.
100%.
So I think it's going to be kind of just like a slugfest. But I like the 49ers. They have more weapons when it comes down to it, right? You have Sam out of the backfield. I was going to say Debo, but...
Yeah, no Debo, but you got Ayuk, you got Kittle.
You got guys on all levels. So.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Eagles at the Cowboys. We are split on this one. You'll take the Eagles. I think it's a coin flip game. I'll give it to Dallas because they're at home. So I think that's really the only deciding factor for me. I think even if Hurts is in there, I'll go back and forth.
This is game of the week.
This is the game of the week.
You 100%. This one. You watch this one.
Yep. This is the game of the week, Saturday at 4:25 on Fox. Like I said, I'll take the Cowboys because they're at home, but I don't feel great about it. It's a coin flip.
I like the Eagles. It's just...
Again, another coin flip. Just going to just roll with what the gut's telling you.
I like the Birds this year, man. They're flying.
Fair enough. Let's go Raiders at the Steelers. We'll both take the Steelers. They're going to be at home. We were talking a Vegas team coming to the snow, to the wind, to the cold.
It's supposed to be -1 here.
With the wind coming off the river.
It's -1 without the wind chill.
That's tough.
The forecast is wind and snow.
Nope. From the Raiders, I want no parts of that game. No parts of that game.
Vegas team walking into that's going to be a punch in the face. Not to mention getting hit by T.J. Watt in that weather.
Strong pass.
I'm gonna go Steelers here.
All right, Christmas Day games. We got the Packers at the Dolphins. We'll both think the Dolphins sit there at home, so it shouldn't be a weather issue in Miami. It should be nice. I think they're a better team. It's a more explosive offense. Yeah. It is an interesting. That's an interesting game. The Packers have been playing decent. If they can run the football a little bit, like I don't think it's the Dolphins like going away or anything.
No, and I don't think. Well, I mean, this was one that I was kind of confused by this one because you have like the success and the experience of Aaron Rodgers in the late season, right? But he has no weapons compared to an absolutely stacked weapons room in Miami.
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Cedric Wilson.
They've been looking better every year too, or every week. They've been kind of gelling more and more, and
right.
It just seems that they've kind of hit their stride, and I like them over the Packers here.
Let's go with the Broncos at the Rams. I mean, we're split on this one. It's the Rams are getting they're favored by 0.5 point.
I'm going Rams purely because of Sean McVay. I think
these
rosters are so bad they almost cancel each other out. I think it comes down to coaching, and I think I'll take Sean McVay over Nathaniel Hackett. I'll take that.
I'll go Broncos to be different, and also I do think both the rosters are bad. I think the Broncos is slightly better, so I don't know. I'll just go with the Broncos. That's an awful game. All right, Bucks at Cardinals. We're both going to take the Bucks. I think that's the Brady effect.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think they're down to their third-string quarterback in Arizona. I'll pass. Chargers at the Colts to round it off on Monday Night Football. The Chargers are a significantly better team. Blows my mind. They're only -4.
They're only hammer that.
That's a good bet. That'd be a good bet. Chargers. Chargers are a better team. Herbert's a better quarterback. They're pretty much better at almost every level, including coach. And I don't even like Brandon Staley. So
yeah, right.
It's a better football team, top to bottom.
It is.
We're split on Denver and LA, Philly and Dallas, and then the Giants Vikings. So we'll see how that goes. But it's week 16.
Here's
predictions.
The thing with this week, you can see the intent with the NFL on Christmas Day. We were talking about it a little bit before we started how bad the Christmas Day matchups are this year.
When they scheduled it.
When they scheduled it, you can see the intent on how they wanted Brady and Kyler, right? They figured that they would be kind of positioning
Tua and Aaron.
Right.
Those are going in. They're like, those are some decent rosters. Should be completed for a playoff spot.
Christmas Day matchup, but we've seen things fall apart.
Defending champs and then like the betting favorites to win it from the AFC.
Right. And then who would have thought that the game of the week would be Cowboys-Eagles in the NFC East? Like, I would have not thought that
not I.
This season.
Not I.
Either way, there will be good football this week. Just maybe not on Christmas. Spend some time with the family instead. So definitely catch those Saturday games. Christmas Eve.
For sure.
Festivities.
For sure. Let's talk a little bit about quarterbacks. As the game shifts more towards offense, we've seen like a higher need and a higher threshold for quarterback play, right? You need to have an elite quarterback. You need to be special at quarterback in some aspect. Right? Kansas City got to the playoffs a bunch with Alex Smith. Doesn't matter. You got to be dynamic. They go out and get Patrick Mahomes. Tyrod Taylor, the Bills to the playoffs. Doesn't matter. You got to be dynamic at quarterback. Josh Allen. Look at the winners from this weekend. Let's just look at the winners from a couple of the key games, right? Tua and Josh Allen, Buffalo, Miami. Tua was very, very good for 2.5 to 3 quarters. For most of the game, he was very good. Played really well. What happened like midway through the third there into the fourth quarter? Oh, I don't know, like a blizzard. He couldn't compete. He looked completely outclassed. Josh Allen, on the other hand, he just put on a cape and led his team to victory. Put on a cape. Wasn't even fair. How about Dak Prescott? He was fine for like the first half of the game. He was good. Trevor was good for the first half too. Second half, Dak has 2 picks. One goes the other way to completely lose the game for them. Trevor finishes with 4 touchdowns, a couple unreal throws down the stretch. Looked like a significantly better quarterback. How about Houston? They led actually most of the game on Sunday versus the Chiefs. Good defense, solid running attack, had a good game plan. Could not stop Mahomes. Couldn't stop Mahomes. 28 for 28 throwing to his top 3 targets, McKinnon, Kelsey, and Juju Smith-Schuster. 87% completion percentage. Completed 20 straight throws down the stretch. How about Philly? They had a tough game. They went 25-20, kind of a slugfest. Hurts has 2 picks. But when it matters most, with a sprained shoulder, massive throw to A.J. Brown on the sideline. Massive throw. That's a big-time play. Not to mention he added 3 rushing touchdowns on top of it. How about Burrow? Down 14.5. Little to no hope. No run game. No run game whatsoever. They had like 40 total yards on the ground. He just throws 4 second-half touchdowns and just completely ruins the Buccaneers. Okay. How about Herbert? Looked off all day long. When greatness was required, he dialed up a 45-yard seed to Mike Williams to set up the game-winning kick. You have to be special at this position. It's a must now. It's not a, if we surround this B-plus quarterback. Nope. You have to be A at quarterback to be able to actually be taken seriously as a Super Bowl team, period. Ask yourself, are there any teams right now with a not top 7 quarterback that you actually, in your heart of hearts, thinks can win? They think can win. Like Minnesota, according to like standings, we're talking record, is a top 7 team. Do we actually think they can win? No, because it's Kirk Cousins, and I like Minnesota, and I like Kirk Cousins. People have been talking, the Raiders. This is their year. Then before the year, that's what they said, right? This is their year. I said, well, I mean, I like Derek Carr, but they're not talented enough around Derek Carr to do that. And the Cowboys, right? They're a top 7 team according to the stats and stuff like that. Do we actually think that? Can we take them seriously as a Super Bowl team? No, because it's Dak, and Dak's a fine quarterback, but he's not that level. He's not that level of special, right? Who's in the Super Bowl bubble right now? I don't know. Actually, San Francisco is the only one that doesn't have an elite quarterback, but that's the best roster maybe assembled in the last 5 or 6 years. So San Francisco, outlier. But then you got Kansas City, Mahomes, Buffalo, Josh Allen. I would put Cincinnati in that with Burrow. I'm not sure Super Bowl-wise with the Chargers how viable they are, but I'll tell you what. If that's the 7 seed, that's a tough day to be a 2 seed. That is not the matchup you want. That is not the matchup you want first round. So you can try to sell the room on Kirk or Dak, or you get to keep trying to sell me on Daniel Jones. That is or Tua, right? This is what you need to be an elite team in the NFL. If you're chasing mediocre, like Houston right now, would it hurt you to get Derek Carr for 2 years? Would it hurt you to get Baker for 2 years to become relevant? No. But if you're actually truly chasing a championship, you have to be special at the most important position, quarterback.
100% agree. 100% agree. So the thing is, and kind of the way that we pick games a lot of the times, especially when we get late in the season, especially when we get to the playoffs and games start to matter and the experience starts to matter, you pick the better quarterback. Picking the better quarterback, nine times out of 10, you're going to pick the right winner of the game.
Right.
So if these teams have any hopes of going anywhere, you need to have the right guy at the most important position. You obviously need other things to go right as well, but that's number one. You have to have that stapled down. Like, do you think the Kansas City Chiefs have all the success they've had recently if they don't have Mahomes?
No.
Probably not.
No.
They would have been the same mediocre team that they were.
So go look. This is the playoff picture right now. In the AFC, you have the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Titans, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Dolphins. So that's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Lamar will probably be back, so that's 5. That is 5 of the top 10 most talented quarterbacks. You could argue Lamar on is he one of the best quarterbacks when it comes to productivity, availability, staying healthy, right? You can argue that. Talent-wise, though, top 10 quarterback, it's not even close.
Yeah.
And it gets even better because the Jags are only a game back of the Titans and are playing great football. My guess is they overtake them for the division, so they'll be the 4 seed. So now you have Trevor Lawrence, who is also a top 10 talent in football. And that's just in the AFC. That's just the AFC. Now, granted, the NFC quarterbacks are awful, right? Jalen Hurts, because you got the Eagles at 1, Vikings at 2, 49ers at 3, Bucks at 4, Cowboys at 5, Giants at 6, Commanders at 7. I don't think any of them, except for Jalen Hurts, is a top 10 talent quarterback. I don't. Yeah. I don't. The AFC's loaded. NFC, not as much. But my point is, if you want to be special, that's what it takes.
If you want to be in that Super Bowl bubble, you have to have a special guy at quarterback.
That's what it takes. I mean, we're looking at a Super Bowl bubble right now. What? So who? I mean, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and I would say the Eagles are the 4 right there that I actually can see winning the championship and not be floored. I would say slightly on the outside is the 49ers, because if Brock Purdy has to go on the road, don't love it.
Especially in the playoffs. So, another NFC team, if he has to go on the road and play Tom Brady in the playoffs, I don't love that matchup. I wouldn't even mind that. What if he has to go on the road to Philly? I don't like that.
Hate that.
He's going to get mucked.
Right. I agree. But that's what the NFL is nowadays. You got to be special at quarterback, point blank. You have to be. Yeah.
And
that's all I got.
It's quite apparent, and it's getting more so that way every single year. Like we're not getting, further away from the value of quarterbacks. It's just gaining in value every single season.
I agree.
But that's all we have for you guys today. So make sure you're going to the website, theissuesports.com. Check out everything that we have over there, always putting new things up on the website. And then check out all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can find all of those links in the description of the episode wherever you are watching or listening. Guys, we really appreciate it. And that was The Issue.